Well, good morning, Tammy.
Julie, I see you're at the beach again, where you're
I am,
where the
I
palm trees sway.
I cannot lie. I Not that I would lie, but I am already in anticipation of my trip to Hawaii next month. So it's like I'm already thinking, what do I want to take? What am I, what do I need to bring? Because I tried on bathing suits I lost like 20, 21, 22, 23, whatever pounds. It kind of fluctuates, but over COVID, right? And
Wow.
so
Most of us, it's the opposite, but yeah,
I know most people gained, and I don't know how. I just stuck to my
yeah,
lifestyle program,
right. That's it.
and so of course I tried on these bathing suits, and yeah, so I had to get rid of some, and some of the other ones I can manage. But anyway, so I'm preparing myself for this. For,
Yay! It's gonna be great.
um, Yeah. I guess I should. I'm Julie Hawkins. I'm the Biz Psychic, and you can find me at juliehawkins.com, bizpsychic.com, BIZ. And I have a YouTube channel, Julie Hawkins, the Biz Psychic, in addition to the one that Tammy and I do, which is Two Psychic Bombs. And, the various and sundry social media with those names. And and we're also members of Higher Healing, HIRE, and we have an event coming up this Wednesday on fear and choice and how you can get yourself in your mind, in your actions to get through fear or get around fear or not choose fear and choose other things other than fear. So let's go with that. And this is my friend Tammy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tammy Langowski, and I'm an intuitive advisor slash counselor to your questions. You can find me at tammy'sintuitive.com. I post channel messages on my social media, Tammy's Intuitive Services, Facebook and Instagram, and part of the Higher Healing group, like Julie mentioned. And yeah, we got that event tomorrow. Well, depending when you see this, yeah, Wednesday, tomorrow, could be tomorrow. At what time is it, Julie? Is it the one in the afternoon?
Yeah, I think it's at 7.
Oh, is it 7? Okay. So I
Sure.
brought that up. I'm not exactly sure, but
Maybe
yeah. So
yeah,
check it out. On the Higher Healing.
7 p.m. Pacific.
Thank you. 7 p.m. Pacific time. So that's how you can find both of us. And so we'll start out with something channeled this morning, or just kind of talk about something. I'm going to hand that over first to Julie, because Julie had a little something that came up for her, and then I'll open up after her.
Thank you, Tammy. So, do you know I kind of do a check-in myself personally, but they're always because my check-in can be different than them, and can't often is. Um, and it was so. I'm just going to say glorious because I really have this feeling of hope. And so, despite news to the contrary, because we're having spikes, peaks again in the virus, and I channeled that with my guides a few months back and said, yeah, be prepared, this is coming again, we're going to have these spikes with the variants and whatever, you know um it's just the way it is. And come on. And so despite that, though, we really want you to have a feeling of hope. Hope is well, gosh, it's necessary to our survival, really. And and we need that, with the literal blooming of spring. And even though outside my window it looks more like fall, honestly, it's kind of chilly and
Yeah.
gloomy out there. um it Contrary to the video playing in the background, hope is here. As we said from the get-go, this is a 3-year process. And the sooner people embrace uh, a willingness to see this and treat this as the public health um, disaster is the word they're giving me, that it is, the sooner we can work through it and stop it. So uh, we know we're preaching to the choir, but we're going to do it anyway. And so that's the story with that. So there is hope. And again, maybe it's the advent of spring. It's just feels really good. So we would invite you to, go take a walk if you don't do that regularly. I go on a morning walk almost every single morning and an afternoon walk almost every single afternoon. And just seeing the beauty of the flowers as they come into bloom at this time of year, and the trees and the growth, the new growth, and just it it's just beautiful. It's just glorious. It truly is glorious. So we really invite you to see that as the hope that it is, that we will all get through this, and do what you're supposed to do. And even if you don't vaccinate, which we highly encourage you to do, there's nothing to be afraid of. And it beats the alternative of ending up in the ER, and the guilt that might accompany that if you catch it and give it to somebody else. Okay, so really just be aware, remember that you can get through this, we'll all get through this, and to have that hope. I'm going to turn it back to Tammy and her guys.
Okay, beautiful message, Julie, and great reminder. I love how you said that, because hope really, hope is what sustains us, right? It is what keeps us going. And like we said, we know that many of you that, or any of you that are watching this, many of you that are watching this, hopefully, realize that already, that hope is super important. I totally agree with what Julie said, getting out in nature. Those are the things that are real. Just looking up at the sky, you have nothing else. Look for things too that you can be hopeful for. If you're thinking, well, I don't have anything to be hopeful for. Well, yeah, you do. Sometimes you just have to create it. And sometimes you have to think about little things you might want to look forward to that's going to bring that hope kind of feeling and mentality for you. But yeah, it's so vital right now to be really in that kind of energy of positivity. So if you have a day that you're not feeling so much, okay, own it, feel it, it's okay to do that. But then jot down some ideas of some things that you can look forward to doing or seeing or going. A lot of things, of course, as we know, things are opening up a little bit more also, but also, nature's always there, always been open for us. So I agree that the exercise and walking and things like that are really great too. Boy, I just had like an allergy hit yesterday, day before yesterday. I rarely get like, really bad, but man, something got me, and I was sneezing and sneezing. Oh my gosh. And then I had to take allergy medicine, which I haven't had to do, it seems like forever, for one day. Then the next day, I was okay. Like, okay, I don't know what happened. Take your allergy meds, I guess, if you have to go for that walk and it bothers you. But anyway, getting back to the idea of hope, I couldn't agree more with that. I'm going to open up just a little bit too to see what else we might be getting this morning. And this is kind of impromptu for me, so I'm just going to see what we get. What message do we need to just put out there right now, guides? Oh, okay. They said everybody needs to love somebody in their life. Now they're making me super emotional. Woo! I keep my heart chakra just like expanded. Everybody needs somebody to love in their life. It does not need to be necessarily a partner. It can be a good friend. It can be the love that you have for a family member, a love of self, of course, first and foremost. They're showing me animals, your pets. But we want you to hold on to something dear to you and engage with this person or animal, whatever it might be, often, because that's what keeps the connection. It takes two, they're showing me. It takes two to keep a really loving connection together, whether that be a marriage, whether that be a life partner or family members or friends. So make sure that you are not only verbally communicating those words, but energetically and telepathically sending that energy to loved ones and to your animals as well, as we've talked about before. We want you to know that life is good. Life has never not been good. It's all perspective, you see, even in the challenging times, even in the most of the challenging times, which the pandemic has been a challenging time. We can use that as an example. So take notice as to where you were lying your thoughts, how you are perceiving things. Things don't happen to you. They come to you through your own thoughts, how you expect, expectations. So that's just sort of a rule of the universe. They're telling me that. That's like a rule of the universe. So if you understand that rule, then you can take more notice if you feel like things are negatively bombarding you at one time. And sometimes they do that, all what cluster, right? All at one time. But take notice then where you are within yourself at that time, where you might be lying your attention that is attracting that light vibration. So we would just say a polite reminder that you really are in control of what is attracting to what you are attracting to yourself. So again, we would say, just please take note of that, pay more attention to it. And they're showing me love thy neighbor. They're giving like a squeeze again, just sending out love. I don't doubt, thank you guys. And I don't doubt that we're getting a lot of that messages now, because I think people are really needing that now. We've, right? We're still going through all of this stuff and getting closer to the connections that we've had physically, maybe, and all, but we're still, still feeling some of these emotions. So anyway, that's what I was getting this morning.
Thank you.
What do you think about that,
Yeah,
Julie?
that was really helpful, really
You
beautiful.
want
As I was sitting here listening to those words, and I had this conversation yesterday on our sort of pre-call for what we decide we're going to talk about or do on our higher healing meditation. And I remember years ago that I was when Chris and I used to teach HUNA and NLP, and all of these things had elements of clearing negative emotions, and 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 certainly you can do that. And I during one of the trainings, I created a new way of doing that, channeled that right through even back then. And the bottom line is, like Tammy's guides and Tammy says, you attract what you create, and what you need to, and actually what you need to look at and resolve in your own life. So there's kind of some misnomers about law of attraction, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to get on your high horse about this, are you?" A little bit. Law of attraction isn't just you attract like. You actually attract the opposite sometimes, because that is what you need to have in your life. And you also attract in behavior that you may not be aware, behaviors, actions, perspectives that you have, not because they're positive or even because they're negative, but because it's a perspective or action that you need to take to resolve within yourself. Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Yep, sure does.
Trying to think of, maybe they'll give me an example, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So
I was going to say to that, Julie, you're right in it, because you may not even be aware so much of that, right? You may not be aware of some of our inner, lessons that we do have, that we're needing to attract that light vibration to bring it forth and to take a look at it. So that's a very good point.
Yeah. It's so, law of attraction is so much more than
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
a good start, is what I would say. It's a good
Yeah.
belief start to get the idea across of what that does mean. And I do really feel that sometimes when things are really difficult, everything that we've gone through, if we do take some time to really look at, okay, what's going on within me? Is there some chaos? I think my guides channeled a message one time on that, because I think it's familiar them saying something about the chaos within. What's going on within, that you might be attracting sort of that like vibration. But yeah, I agree with you. There's more behind it as well, I think.
So I had something come up this weekend, and it's not a cattail this time, but so this is I have my little guilty pleasure of reality TV, which is I watch Hoarders.
Ah, everybody watches some little something on that. Every little guilty, little guilty pleasure now and then is okay.
And I do it because without fail, every single one of those people, I mean, and it's obvious if you think about it, hoard because they've lost something really important in their lives and they're looking for something to grasp to bring that feeling of having it with them back in. And I've had a lot of loss in my life. And so probably not on so it's not really about the hoarding, it's really about the loss. And I this weekend when I started watching it, I realized that I still feel the loss of every once in a while of my partner. And this, the isolation is just uh and energetically supports that to happen. It's just the nature of the beast, right? We were isolated to begin with, so um actually watching those shows, one of them just drove me to tears and one of them made me really, really angry. It was really weird.
Mhm.
But I just was keenly aware of the loss that I still feel, and how it shows up in my life. And it is not through hoarding, but I'm actually probably at the other end of the spectrum. But although you would know it from my office if you actually saw my office, it's not that messy. It's really not. But anyway, I guess, why did I bring that up? I think this has been such a time of loss. And so I want you to honor that. They're saying, honor that. It's not just loss of someone you know or a loved one. It's a loss of a way of life that we've had for the last year and then some. So
Yeah.
um, love your it's always such a good reminder, Tammy, to love yourself through it instead of the behaviors that are destructive, like hoarding or eating or gambling or drugs or whatever your thing is, right? And instead of that is to feel the feelings and love yourself through it. Love
Absolutely. I mean, the
it,
world
right?
offers, yeah, I totally agree. The world offers us so many opportunities, negative ones as well, right? Like you said, of people either going to addiction or whatever it might be, versus distraction of something that's healthy, and you can find that, and you can get that. There was something I was going to say to what you were talking about. Of course, now it jumped out of my head. But a movie I just saw. Have you seen Nomad Land?
No, it's on Hulu, which I refuse to pay for, so
Yeah, yeah. So
have.
I get it. Anyway, I liked it. Any
I,
of you seen it? It's not going to be a super upbeat movie. It's not. But wow, I kind of told my husband. I said, I think I've got a little bit of oh gosh, what was the character's name now? Started with an F. You guys will know if you've ever seen it. I don't remember what her name was now. But anyway, I said, I feel like I got a little piece of her in me, and but then I think a lot of us do, if you watch it, you can understand that, the pros and cons, we'll say, to choosing that kind of lifestyle. And, the freedom, I probably is what we all go,
right.
gosh, just to be able to take off in your van and go wherever you want without any responsibility. You know, of course, on the other side of that, there's like cold nights in a van and, you know, in this story anyway,
Yeah.
you know, and all that, etc. But
In a lot of stories, I think people, live in their cars, so it's not
yeah,
a.
yeah, no, no, I know. And I'm sort of definitely not glamorizing that, you know, because I know that's it's a real thing for a lot of people. But I guess in this story that did. Oh, I know what I was going to mention about. Just when we were talking about the kind of the hoarding thing, and I was also going to add a lot of times I've gotten, you know, past life pictures for people. I don't know if you've ever gotten that in readings too, Julie. For some people who do have that problem, and it is really interesting, like where that might come from. Some of it is the very obvious, like not enough food, for example, and so the gathering of, you know, of survival, you know, of keeping things around them to know that they're safe,
Yeah.
often is an underlying theme for that. So not that we are necessarily going into a whole subject of hoarding, but I wanted to bring that up. It's been kind of interesting. I wish I could have one more in mind that was really specific like that, but I know it kind of was around that, you know, not feeling that they've had enough. It can happen in conditioning in this lifetime as well, certainly as a child growing up, depending on, you know, the circumstances. But yeah, it's also can be related to other lifetime, past lifetime slash alternate lifetime, whatever, you know.
It is so fascinating to me. It's a repelling and compelling at the same time
Hmm.
to watch that. And
Yeah, I agree with you. It's interesting to watch sort of that, just the human, I don't know, you know, psychology behind it, I suppose, you know.
well, the doctor who is on the show this time, and they have a few different doctors. They showed her explaining it to the. I'm sure she did a more in-depth job, but to one of the particular people who had this disorder, and she said, "You have a brain disorder that makes your perceptions completely distorted. And you have to understand that. And we need to work with that. And it needs to be a regular, constant um, practice because it is a mental health disorder."
Yeah, that
And
makes sense.
when she told the woman that, the woman was like, you could see her processing it. It was really interesting. And so often these people all have the same response or behavior. And I did not like this woman at all. I got to tell you, in all the shows I've watched, I didn't really like her at all. She would not let anybody get a word in edgewise. It was, it was all about her and her delusions, because they all think, I don't know, I'm kind of hooked on this, they all think that I've got hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of things here and somebody's going to buy it, even though it's got rat poop and infested with vermin all over it. And they're like, oh no, that was brand new. And it's like, well, it might have been at one point, but um, no,
Mhm, mhm.
you know, and the distortion is so really immense on some levels that it's just fascinating. and
Yeah,
and they just said, and you gotta love them through it,
yeah,
it's you
right.
gotta love them through it because they are mentally ill.
Yeah, yeah, that because we know that thing they're holding on to has more meaning than just what it is.
Absolutely, most of the time the stuff is piled so high they don't even know what's in there.
Yeah, yeah. And to give some of that away, to give it away means what? Whew, I even get like a sense of can't breathe.
Yeah.
Can't breathe if it's given. It's something very personal, even though it's something very, you know, mundane. It may not mean anything, whatever it is.
In some ways though, it's like any addiction. You know, one is too little and 1,000 is never enough, or whatever that
Yeah.
saying goes. I think that's the right saying. It
Mhm.
you never you hence the hoard, right? There's never enough to fill the hole. There's
Yeah.
never enough drugs to fill the hole. There's never enough I'm going to own it. Chocolate chip cookies for me to fill the hole. There just never is. You have to be with the hole and the pain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you do, then it eases up a little bit. And the more you're with the pain, the more you bear it, the more you, it never really goes away. And in some, they're saying, and in some ways it shouldn't. It's a valid pain,
Mhm.
except when it's blown out of proportion because you're not allowing yourself to feel it either initially or as it comes up. And
Yeah, that's it exactly. Not that's what I was just getting to is like when it so if we take that thing away, there's this like you said, this hole, this gap, and it feels extremely vulnerable.
yep,
And it feels like I have to look at this and I'm so afraid to look at it that I want this thing back to cover it back up. And so, it is a real disorder. Yeah, absolutely. And, if anybody feels that way, it's okay to reach out for help with that. Because it's not always easy to do on your own. There's things you can do on your own, but with some of it, but I would say if it's okay to reach out to help for that.
I think my sense is that they just explained this to me, that it's a spectrum, right? Kind of, so many things are on a spectrum. In other words, if you indulge in, recreational drugs once in a while, we'll say, that's fine. If you do it a little bit more and you do it a lot, that's maybe borderline addiction. If you do it where it's all you think about and it's consuming, it might turn into or be a part of a mental illness. I'm not qualified to make that um, determination. They're just saying it's on a spectrum. And
Makes
so,
sense. Perfect sense. Well said. Yeah.
or whatever that is worth.
Yes. I guess the message really is if you find you're in that, love yourself through it, but also do seek. We
100%
always get
help.
that in Reese anyway. Seek some professional help if you need it, you know?
And, oh, by the way, there's hope, because at the end of the
That's
day, there's always hope.
absolutely.
Always hope. So, all righty. So, what is ahead for you this week, or maybe there's a theme, or is there anything else that we want to cover before we send our lovely and wonderful and
Yeah,
support?
I'm just going to say whatever popped in, if anything ever popped, well, I asked what we could share, but whatever comes in, I just really like to kind of emphasize again because I trust that our guys are really wanting to know this on a bigger level. So, what I really heard, I just will reiterate, is not only self love, of course, and working on that through affirmations, through meditation. There's ways to do that for sure. But they were really emphasizing the loving of somebody else in your life to make sure they know that they're loved by you, and to be able to communicate and enjoy that. They're even just saying that relationship to not be afraid to say it, and to open yourself up to that.
That is
Because
so
yeah, part of the healing right now.
big. That is so big. At the end of the day, all any of us ever really wants is to feel loved.
Yes, absolutely.
End of the day, that's what it always boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even the homeless, even the um well, you know,
The tough people out there, you know what I mean? The tough people that look like it could be your neighbors, it could be your friends, it could be family members. Um, those are often the ones that need it the most because that tough exterior is that protection. And you know,
exactly. Yep, you're so right.
so
Hope, 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 hope and love, hope and love, hope and love. Share
just
it, give it, share it.
exactly, exactly. We all need it, we all want it, and it's okay to talk about it. And we can't say it enough because I think it is always very interesting how it can be a little bit challenging to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And that vulnerability piece is why we're here. And it is a challenge. It is a challenge sometimes. It doesn't have to be, but sometimes we make it because what does that mean? And a reminder that it does not mean you are disempowering yourself by speaking your truth or your love for somebody else. You are really empowering yourself. And I get how it can feel that way, like, wow, it's the same thing they'll talk about compliments, right? And complimenting people to do it. It does not disempower you or bring you down a notch to compliment somebody else. It's a win-win energetically, both ways. And we have to remind ourselves of that. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, thank you. Gosh,
That's-
I love them.
I know.
That was really, really helpful. And yeah.
And what you spoke of as well, Julie. Yeah, I think it's all good stuff. And we really trust whatever we get. We just need to share with you. So I hope you find some value in that. It is reminders. I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, I know on my end, and I'm sure I would say Julie feels the same way. That what we do get and what we are bringing forth is something. And I always put the request out before this that whatever needs to be said and shared, please. And sometimes it may come in very simply, sometimes it may be more elaborate and bigger, but we hope that you do find some value in what is shared from two psychic moms.
Exactly. That's us. As I'm sitting here and you're saying that, I really feel this global hope. It's ahead. It is really truly ahead. So, and we really need it. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else before we call it a day? And I sure hope the sun comes out.
No, it's an interesting day here in our area, our neck of the woods, for sure. I know, just give yourself a pat on the back for how far you've come. I just heard pat on the back today. Promise you'll do that. Maybe even in front of the mirror so you can see yourself. Pat yourself on the back. Say out loud how proud you are of yourself, of how far you've come right now.
Perfect. I love that. That is so perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too. In fact, give yourself a big hug.
Yeah,
That's good too.
right.
All right. So we know that we've got Higher Healing has an event on Wednesday night, the 7th, because today is April 6th. And this will likely be up later today, I think, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're good. All right. We love you. We appreciate your support and your questions. I don't think we had any other questions this week, right?
I don't think so. So yeah, do send them. If there is a topic, even if it's not like the question, you could say like a topic of something, if that's easier to kind of say, I don't know, how to survive the death of a loved one, or I'm just picking something, but it can be anything kind of topic, and we can do our best to channel some information based on that. So
It's huge. I actually answered a question for somebody as the biz psychic. I think it was last month that somebody asked that question, and I personally know that very well. I mean, so much loss in my family. It's just really and those near me. So, I mean, I have a very very dear friend who I've known since second grade, a very long time, and I think we keep in touch, and I sometimes she'll just pop into my head, and I think, how on earth do you cope with the death of your daughter?
oh yeah.
Who left two kids who are with their father and they were divorced, but it's just how do you cope with that? It's I think about her a lot,
Yeah.
and I just lost recently a friend of ours from high school, and very unexpected, and so
I'm sorry.
yeah, thank you. It's just a lot. So not to get in maudlin or to get
Yeah,
into that place, but
it's part of the human experience of this, of going through this.
I personally have a lot of experience with that, and then I channeled about it, so that's up on the list. Anyway, hope, 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 and love, hope and love, hope and love, hope and love. All right.
For the rest of this week, hope and love. Maybe form some affirmations around that for yourself as well. I'm hopeful of my tomorrows. I love and appreciate all those in my life, including myself. Simple affirmations like that that are spoken out loud only bring that energy in deeper and more profoundly, I guess, right? More of those experiences.
Those are really beautiful. Could you say those again?
Oh gosh, I hope I can because I channeled it.
Oh,
That everything was basically on this channel, but yeah, no, it was about. Gosh, I lost it, Julie. I lost it.
no, I do the same thing because when you channel, you
I seriously, I
comes and goes.
that's retention of memory. Anyway, I won't fully admit that, but
Have to listen
yeah,
to it anyway. It was good.
it's on there. Yeah, you guys will be able to play it back and listen to it.
Right, dear friends.
So it's helpful. Yes, thank you so much. Be free.
Being with us, Julie Hawkins, a biz psychic.
Tammy Langowski, tammysintuitive.com.
And yeah, tell us if there's a topic. It doesn't even have to be a question, just a topic.
Please.
And we can chat about that. We really appreciate you, just so that you know that. We're not just doing this because we think it's all about us. It's really not for us, it's for you. So we really appreciate you. So thank you so much. And we'll see you either at Higher Healing on Wednesday or in the future or in next week's channel session. So until then,
Sounds good.
all week. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.